The world was a place of endless night. The sun was just a myth, whispered by elders. No one remembered its warmth. The sky was a deep starless black. The moon, too, had vanished. Trees stood like skeletons, their leaves long gone. Rivers flowed like ink, reflecting only emptiness. People lived in small, huddled communities, their homes lit by faint moss. Laughter was rare, hope even rarer. Children learned about colors from old books, never seeing a true blue sky. The world had forgotten brightness, and the darkness seeped into their spirits. Stories of light sounded like fairy tales as the idea of sunrise faded from memory. In a hidden valley, shrouded by ancient mist and forgotten by the world above, a secret endured. Here the air was thick with the memory of sunlight, and the earth held stories of brighter days. The valley was a place untouched by time, where silence reigned and shadows lingered, but deep within, something extraordinary survived. At the heart of this secluded world, a single point of light remained: the blossom. It was not just a flower, but a beacon, a silent guardian of hope. Its petals glowed with a pure, gentle radiance, pushing back the gloom that threatened to swallow everything. The light was soft, yet unwavering, a quiet defiance against the encroaching darkness. The blossom was the last memory of the sun, a living piece of lost light, holding within it the warmth and brilliance of days long past. It was a fragment of a world that once flourished, now distilled into a single, fragile bloom. Around it, the ground was green and alive. Insects buzzed in the air, and small creatures thrived in the gentle glow. Life clung to the blossom's presence, finding shelter and sustenance in its light. The air was sweet, untouched by sorrow or fear, carrying the scent of hope and renewal. Here, the troubles of the outside world seemed to fade, replaced by a sense of peace and possibility. The blossom's light nourished and protected all that grew nearby, creating a sanctuary in a world otherwise consumed by decay. Its glow was a shield, a promise that not all was lost. Yet the blossom felt the world's pain, the encroaching darkness, the weight of fading hope, and the sorrow that pressed in from every side. Shadows crept ever closer, threatening to extinguish its fragile light. Legends whispered that its light could heal wounds, mend broken spirits, and even restore the dawn itself. It was said that those who believed in the blossom's power could find strength in its glow, and that its radiance could drive away even the deepest night. For generations, the blossom waited in silence, gathering strength from the earth and the faintest traces of sunlight. It endured storms and darkness, never faltering, always holding on to the hope that one day its light would be needed. The world above did not know it, but this flower was its last chance, a final hope hidden away, quietly preparing for the moment it would be called upon. As the darkness grew stronger, so too did the blossom's inner light. With every passing day, its glow became more intense, a silent challenge to the night that threatened to consume all. It was the last spark of hope, waiting patiently to ignite a new beginning. The blossom stood ready, its light unwavering, its purpose clear. The time for change was near. In the heart of the hidden valley, the last glimmer of hope prepared to shine brighter than ever before, ready to awaken the world from its long, dark slumber. The darkness was alive and hungry, expanding every day. Shadows crept into once safe places, dimming even the glowing moss. A chilling mist rolled across the land, swallowing warmth and sound. The creepers, beings of solidified darkness, invaded villages. Their presence spread fear and despair, snuffing out hope. The blossom felt the world's pain intensify, the darkness pressing harder. The river near the blossom's valley turned black and thick, poisoning the sanctuary's edge. Pure creatures fled the corrupted water, the haven shrank. The darkness was no longer just outside, it was invading. The blossom realized passive resistance was no longer enough. The world was crying out for a hero. The light within the blossom pulsed with new resolve. The time to act had come. The blossom made a choice. It would fight. Its gentle glow intensified, radiating searing power. The world was dying. The blossom chose rebellion over defeat. Drawing on ancient magic, it became a legacy of light refusing to be extinguished. The first act of defiance. A powerful pulse of light rippled across the land. For a moment, distant villages saw a flash, a sign they were not alone. The darkness recoiled, the pressure on the valley eased. Creepers retreated, blinded and confused. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. The blossom proved the darkness could be hurt. The light was not helpless. Its resolve hardened into unbreakable steel. The fight had begun. Hope flickered anew in the world. The blossom was ready for war. The darkness struck back, sending a horde of creepers to extinguish the blossom. They moved as one, a river of blackness, eyes fixed on the flower. The blossom's sanctuary burned their forms, but they pressed on. The blossom unleashed a concentrated beam of light, dissolving the front line. The battle was a clash of pure hope against despair. The blossom spun, sending arcs of light through the enemy ranks. Each destroyed creeper left a spark of light behind. The blossom fought tirelessly, fueled by the world's life force. It was a single warrior against an army armed with undiluted hope. This was the first offensive to reclaim the dawn. With every creeper vanquished, the light grew stronger. The war for the world had truly begun. As the first light of dawn crept over the valley, the blossom stirred, its petals shimmering with anticipation. No longer content to remain hidden in the safety of its home, the blossom advanced, leaving its valley behind with a sense of purpose and destiny. Ahead lay the Whispering Woods, a place shrouded in ancient mystery and haunted by a darkness that had taken root at its very heart. The blossom knew it must confront this darkness, for the fate of the land depended on it. Uprooting itself with a gentle tremor, the blossom floated above the soil, radiating a beacon of defiance and hope. Each movement was a declaration that it would not be cowed by fear or shadow. The journey ahead was perilous, filled with unseen threats and lurking dangers. Creepers and thorny vines lashed out at every turn, their twisted forms seeking to ensnare and drag the blossom down into the darkness below. The wood seemed alive with malice, every shadow a potential enemy, but the blossom would not be deterred. It cut a path of light through the gloom, its radiance burning away the shadows and revealing hidden trails that had long been forgotten. With every step, the blossom cleansed the land, awakening dormant seeds and coaxing new life from the forest floor. Where darkness had reigned, hope began to sprout, fragile but determined. At the edge of this woods, the darkness was no longer just a feeling. It was a physical wall, thick and impenetrable. The blossom hesitated only for a moment before plunging in, its light unwavering. Its brilliance sliced through the gloom, scattering the shadows and sending ripples of light deep into the heart of the forest. The whispering voices that haunted the woods screamed in agony as the light touched them, their ghostly forms recoiling and fading into the mist. The blossom pressed on, undeterred by their cries. At the very heart of the woods, the ground trembled and the air grew cold. From the shadows, a monstrous form began to rise, a shadow behemoth, ancient and terrible, its eyes burning with malice. This was no ordinary foe, but a massive entity of pure darkness born from centuries of fear and sorrow. The final battle for the woods began in earnest. The behemoth lashed out with tendrils of shadow, each strike threatening to snuff out the blossom's light forever. But that blossom was swift and resolute, dodging the attacks and retaliating with bursts of pure radiant energy. Each flash of light weakened the behemoth, forcing it back. The clash shook the very foundations of the forest, trees trembling and debris swirling as the forces of light and darkness collided in a storm of power. Light and shadow danced in a violent, mesmerizing struggle, each vying for dominance in the heart of the woods. Yet through it all, the blossom's courage never wavered. It stood firm, a symbol of hope and resilience, refusing to yield, even as the darkness threatened to overwhelm it. The outcome of this battle would decide not just the fate of the Whispering Woods, but the destiny of the entire land. Every creature, every tree, every hidden seed waited in suspense. As the struggle raged on, hope flickered in the darkness, and the battle for the soul of the woods and for the promise of a brighter future continued with every pulse of light. The blossom's victory in the Whispering Woods changed everything. The shadow behemoth dissolved, and a shockwave of purity erupted. Twisted trees revived, shadows vanished, and green life surged back. News of victory spread through the light itself, igniting hope in distant settlements. People felt the air lighten, the chill recede. Fires were lit, songs of dawn sung. With each victory, the blossom grew stronger, reclaiming light from defeated shadows. It cleansed rivers, valleys, and left a trail of rebirth. The creepers, once terrifying, now fled before the blossom. The darkness was in retreat. People fought back, clearing shadows and planting seeds. The world was waking up. The balance had shifted. And the blossom, carrying the hopes and dreams of all it had met, finally reached the Moor of Shadows, the legendary source of endless night. Here, at the very edge of the world, the air was thick with fear and uncertainty, and the ground trembled beneath the weight of ancient darkness. Here, darkness was absolute, swallowing every glimmer of light and radiating a despair so deep it seemed to echo through time itself. The blossom stood at the threshold, knowing the final confrontation awaited in this void where hope had never dared to bloom. From the depths, the shadow emerged, a formless being of pure nothingness, shifting and swirling, its presence chilling the very air. It rose to meet the blossom, its shape ever-changing, as if it were made of the fears and doubts of every living thing. The shadow did not strike with claws or teeth, but with relentless waves of hopelessness, each one threatening to snuff out the blossom's fragile light. It whispered of failure, of loss, of a world forever shrouded in night. Yet the blossom held firm, its roots anchored deep in the memories of kindness, courage, and the world's unwavering hope. It remembered every gentle touch, every word of encouragement, and every dream entrusted to it. Drawing on all it had gathered, the blossom unleashed its power, glowing with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Its light was not just brightness, but the sum of every hope, every act of love, every promise of a better dawn. This was not an attack, but an act of creation, filling the void with radiant possibility, weaving new hope into the very fabric of the world. The light poured into the abyss, reaching places untouched for eons. The struggle was silent, a battle of will, despair versus hope, darkness against the promise of light. The world seemed to hold its breath, watching the delicate balance between surrender and resilience. For a moment, neither side yielded. The air shimmered with tension, as if time itself paused to witness the outcome of this ancient conflict. Then, slowly, the darkness began to fade, diluted and weakened by the blossom's unwavering radiance. Shadows retreated, unable to withstand the growing tide of light. The wound in the world healed as the chasm closed, sealed by solidified light. Where once there was only emptiness, now there was hope, shining and unbreakable. The shadow dissolved into the overwhelming brilliance, vanishing like a bad dream at sunrise. The world was free, bathed in light, and the blossom's courage became legend, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, hope can prevail. With the shadow defeated, darkness vanished. For the first time, people saw a sky full of stars. The moon returned, bathing the land in peaceful light. The blossom, exhausted, settled in the center of the sealed chasm. Its light softened, its task complete. Seeds of light thrived, the land revived, and hope flourished. People watched the sky, waiting for the promised miracle. On the horizon, color appeared, purple, pink, then fiery orange. The sun rose, warmth washing over the land. The world was reborn in breathtaking color and beauty. Laughter echoed as children felt sunlight for the first time. The long night was over. The world would never forget the blossom that brought the dawn.